Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The KTT Monochrome Onyx switches is a collection of 3 switches exclusively made for Dangkeebs. Of them, you'll find a linear variant called Chalk and a medium tactile called Marble. But by far the most interesting is the Monochrome Onyx. At first glance, these switches look pretty normal. They feature a polycarbonate housing, palm stem, a typical 4mm travel distance, and a 50-gram spring weight. But take a look at the force graph. I'm sure you've never seen a curve like this before. At the beginning of the press, we're met with a sharply rounded tactile bump, which quickly drops off into a linear section and ends as sharp as it started. Let's compare the Monochrome Onyx's graph to the Boba U4Ts and Cherry Browns. I picked these switches because they're well known and the shape of their tactile curves are conventional. Typical tactile switches have smooth curves that are rounded and look a lot like sine waves. In the transition section between the peaks and valleys, the required force decreases. What's different about the Onyx is not only that the force doesn't follow a smooth curve, but also the transition area requires an increase in force. This is out of the ordinary for sure, and I've never seen a force graph that looks remotely like it before. The secret to this unique force graph is inside the switch. Notice that the stem legs have what Dangkeebs calls a plateau-shaped bump. It kind of looks like they took a typical bump and just stretched it out. And now I'm sure that linear section on the force graph makes more sense. It's caused by this raised flat area, hence the aforementioned term plateau. Pressing the switch slowly helped me gain a better understanding of what I was experiencing overall. The tactile feel is split into 2 very distinct sections. In other words, there are 2 separate tactile events that occur. You feel it when you get onto the plateau and when you get off. But when you press the switch at a normal speed, they kind of blend back together, resulting in a satisfying large bump. And I do only mean kind of. The entire experience is unique. The bump is unnaturally large, which isn't to say it's a bad thing. It's what makes the experience stand out from everything else on the market. I did want to bring up my auditory concerns. Putting the switch up to my ear, I get a lot of metallic noises, which I think are coming from the leaf. I'm not particularly picky when it comes to audio, so I tend not to mind these sounds anyways. But if it is a concern for you, I just wanted to bring it up. Realistically, it's imperceivable during normal use, at least for me. The overall sound signature has a higher pitch thanks to the polycarbonate housing. I find that it has a lot of character despite a thin body. In other words, they're noticeably loud and commanding without being bassy. More than anything, the typing feel is what I wanted to discuss the most. The Monochrome Onyxes have a unique high tactility that is not rounded. The result is a slightly round but mostly sharp initial bump at the beginning of the press, followed by a sudden bottom out. There's something about the curve not being rounded which makes the press feel extra snappy. It's kind of like the effect of a clicky switch with the feel of a tactile. The plateau curve emphasizes the overall experience, which is a pleasure to type on for fans of high tactility. I would imagine this could feel fatiguing for some people, but for me, because I enjoy high tactility, I think these are really fun to type on. If I were to change anything about the switch, I would make the stem long pole. Because the bottom out is so sudden, I think bringing more attention to it with a long pole stem would push the experience to the max level. The switch wants to be bottomed out when you type on it, so adding that satisfying long pull feel would further enhance the experience. Before we listen to the sound test, remember to subscribe to help my channel grow. The link to purchase these switches will be down in the description, along with my other social media platforms. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.